Hello, I'm Susanna Weymouth, and I'm from Tampa Bay Businesses for Culture and the Arts, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I'm Linda Saul-Sena, and it's my pleasure today to introduce you to Culture Vultures. Our guest is Susanna Weymouth. She is the Executive Director for Tampa Bay Businesses for Culture and the Arts. Welcome, Susanna.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for having me.
So, explain this wonderful organization.
Well, Tampa Bay Businesses for Culture and the Arts was actually founded in 1989 by a group of 13 local businesses. The leaders were part of the Chamber of Commerce, and they decided that a standalone nonprofit would be a more robust way for businesses to unite to champion arts and culture for a prosperous community. And that's exactly our mission statement. And the philosophy that it's based on is that the arts are good for business and business is good for the arts. It's very much modeled after a group that David Rockefeller had started some years ago that has morphed into what is now known as Americans for the Arts, national organization, the leading national organization and the most important advocacy and communications organization that's championing businesses and the arts.
I've always sort of considered you all matchmakers between artists that need talent and businesses that need the positive associations that come with supporting the arts.
Well, absolutely. I think that that's very much part of the mission of the organization is to make connections and to serve as a platform to introduce businesses to artists and arts and cultural organizations and vice versa. We like to nurture and foment those type of synergistic relationships.
Well, tell me some of the ways in which you're doing this.
Well, we have a number of different programs, and I think that one of the programs that helps to bring businesses in direct contact with arts and cultural organizations and with artists is our Cultural Encounters programs. We do one, sometimes two a month with our different cultural partners, and I say partners because it's small p, capital A-R-T, since we are one of only 11 of the national affiliates of Americans for the Arts. We were the first in Florida. And so we have this partnership. So it's really much deeper than a sponsorship. It's forging relationships, making introductions. So we have over 26 cultural partners now, including the museums, theaters, small nonprofit galleries, the Jazz Association, on both sides of the Bay. And what we do is we organize special meet and greets, behind the scenes, events, and ways in which we can connect the businesses with the artists and the arts and cultural organizations that is a meaningful experience and leads to hopefully something deeper in the future.
So do you have examples of some of these encounters? The arts organizations find board members or visitors, things
yes,
like that?
We bring our board directors and our partners and their colleagues and their clients, because one of the ways that we're trying to help make these organizations accessible is by providing these introductions and these venues and these platforms. So for instance, we did a wonderful one with the new maestro of the Florida Orchestra, Michael Francis, with and at our other cultural partner, the Straz. And it was an opportunity for our members, our partners, to meet Michael, to listen to his vision. And usually these encounters are before the performance of a play, or in that case, an orchestral piece that was being performed that night. And he would tell us what his thoughts were of the challenges of these pieces, of the beauty of these pieces. In that case, it was Mussorgsky that was actually orchestrated by Ravel, and the insights that he provided, and also just getting to meet him. I think that, this encourages the businesses to get to know the organizations better and to support them. We've done a wonderful program of pop-up prose and poetry.
What's that?
As part of our cultural encounters. We felt that there was a need to also give focus and bring to light the written word and the spoken word. And so we held a lovely encounter at the Museum of Fine Arts in St. Pete with the new Poet Laureate of St. Pete, Helen Pruitt Wallace, and the Poet Laureate of Florida, Peter Meinke.
Who was a former
Who was the former Poet Laureate of St. Pete.
That's
exactly.
great.
And the mayor was there to announce the appointment of Helen as Poet Laureate of St. Pete. And both she and Peter read some of their poems. And this was a Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and there were over 200 people.
That's amazing.
that
What
came
a
for
terrific
poetry
turnout.
reading.
Well, I think that what you're doing is making it personal, and we all love stories, and we love the background stories, and we love to know the people as people who are creating these artworks. So it really is matchmaking.
It really is matchmaking in many senses. And the lovely thing is that by partnering with us and supporting us and being a part of our organization, we can introduce you not just to one, but as I said, we have partnerships with 26 and continually growing. And so we do something for everyone. So perhaps you're not fancying the symphony, but you're passionate about the visual arts. We did a fantastic cultural encounter with USF Graphic Studio.
Oh, wonderful.
And the Institute for Research and Art with their artist in residence at the time, Christian Markley. He's one of the top living artists working in the world today, Swiss, living in London. And he gave us an hour and a half where he spoke about the collaborative process and what's unique about USF Graphic Studio, and where we actually got to see how he develops these new works of art with them, not just for them and signing it.
Right.
So it's very revelatory. And these are the types of experiences where you could have been in Art Basel, not just in Miami, but Art Basel, Switzerland, where he's from, and not had that kind of time with him on a one-on-one basis. We did a wonderful cultural encounter with a very valued partner, Stageworks Theater, with the playwright Chad Beckham, who was here from New York, and talking about his play, Lights Rise on Grace, and where he drew his inspiration and how he was trying to address social issues with this vehicle of a play. So it's also a way of giving a platform for communication that's very non-threatening, but that can sometimes lead to very deep discussions.
Well, it's so novel that you're doing this and making it available to people. And it sounds as if you don't have individual members, but businesses become the partners. So I would need to go to the people I work with and say, I think you all should join.
Well, I think that, yes, the primary partners are businesses, but businesses are made up of individuals, and we also welcome individual partners. We have access points at all different levels, and by the way, our cultural encounters are completely free. It's part
You're
of what
kidding.
Our partnerships help to
Wow.
fund and support. Then if you want to go and pay for your ticket for the theater or for the symphony or for whatever is happening, if it's attached to a performance or a play, then you can, but you do it directly through the box office of the cultural partner, because the point of the cultural encounters is to raise awareness about these cultural treasures that we have in our community and to hopefully expand their audiences as well.
That's great. And so what are some of the ways that people can learn about what you all are up to?
Well, we like to open some of our events up to the public so that they can learn about it. We run 3 chalk walks a year in 3 counties.
What's a chalk walk?
Well, a chalk walk is very interesting. In 2007, a past president of TBBCA, who's currently still on our board, Carrie O'Reilly, who's the director of marketing for the Tampa Bay Times, realized that there was a specific genre of artists that were not necessarily being supported and being highlighted, chalk artists. And of course, their work is ephemeral. They
Right.
spend, sometimes days, usually 2 days on a weekend, on their hands and knees, painting in plein air, on the sidewalks, in chalk. And so it's a very complex process. They have to lay out a grid first, and it's quite mathematical to get the proportions correct. Usually they're copying from a famous painting, or sometimes an original painting of their own, because most of them are fine artists, but they work in different professions, and then their passion is chalk art. So how wonderful that TBBCA and Carrie came up with this great idea. Why don't we sponsor chalk artists and make it as part of a festival? So we now partner with 3 different festivals, with the Suncoast Arts Fest, with Gasparilla Festival of the Arts, and also with SPF, the St. Pete Festival of the Arts. And we bring these chalk artists so that they can interact with the public, so the public can see their art as they're developing it and bringing it to life. And they're quite amazing, the results. It's free, family friendly.
Do you all pay the artists?
We do.
I
And
think
we
that's
believe in
important.
that.
Yes.
You know, we are, part of our mission is to support the arts. And exposure is overexposed for artists, right? And so we believe in paying the artists. If we have a musician come and play at our event, we pay the musician. If we're having a chalk walk, that's what we raise, part of what we raise money for. And I think it also helps to expand the ability of these artists to reach their audiences by having it under that type of an umbrella where we take care of everything. We produce the chalk walk, and in conjunction with our partners are very much part of the festival. And yes, we finance the stipends for the artists, and we provide the chalk as well.
Well, and then you just have to get all your members to positively visualize good weather. Because I've been to them, and when it's a beautiful day, it's a pleasure. Sometimes it's a little warm, sometimes it's a little wet. So you need good weather for this.
But the wonderful thing is that they have such great dispositions, these chalk artists, that really they're much to be admired. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have a program that helps to support them despite inclement weather, but they do cover them up with plastic if it rains, and then they keep going. So that's one of the many different programs that we have. Again, our cultural encounters are completely free, and you can come as a guest of one of our partners. You can let us know that you're interested in getting to know us better, and then we'll extend an invitation to you.
So you have a website, and that's how people can communicate with you all.
We do, www.tbbca.org, because we are a 501c3, so it's organization. And also they're welcome to call the office. I'm usually there, and if not, my phone is forwarded, and so that number is 813-221-2787. And again, we work on both sides of the bay. We have events on both sides of the bay. We have one yearly fundraiser, which is a very interesting event because it's to raise funds for our programs, including our scholarship program, which I'll tell you a little bit about. But that event, which is called our Impact Awards, was started when the organization started practically to recognize and acknowledge business leaders and artists who had made extraordinary contributions to arts and culture. And so one of the things that we like to highlight is when businesses, and sometimes they're our partners, sometimes not, if they've served on boards, if they've started the music festival, if they've been spearheading the efforts to expand the museum or the theater, then they deserve to be recognized and celebrated for what they've done and for what they've contributed, but also to serve as examples in our community. And hopefully others will find inspiration and follow suit. So we raise money for our scholarship program. In 2007, the late Charlie Henschel was then president and chair of the board of TBBCA. And he himself had been a performer. He was a lawyer, an entrepreneur, businessman, realtor, very successful.
He was a friend of mine, but I didn't know he was a performer.
He was, and you're way too young to remember, but I'm not. He was in a group called Up With People.
I do remember that.
Up With People used to tour, and it was a group of talented singers and performers. And with that experience, Charlie, first of all, met a number of people. His particular group, his class, were so good that they were asked to actually be in residence for a while at Disney and perform. And he said that the people that he met and the shared experiences of music and performances and what it did for him as a young person, he really wanted to encourage young people to pursue the arts, to study the arts. And he realized that there are a lot of scholarships for sports. If you want to study engineering, maybe you can find some scholarships there. A little bit more difficult to find a scholarship if you want to go and take, dance or music at Juilliard. And so he started this program. We give out 6 fine and performing arts scholarships in 6 disciplines. We give them in dance, theater, visual arts, literary arts, instrumental music, and vocal music. We have an open call to applicants in 3 counties. You can be private schooled, public schooled, homeschooled. You can be a junior or a senior in high school. If you're a junior, we'll hold on to it until you graduate. Then when you graduate, whatever university, college, or conservatory that you're accepted and you go to, we pay them directly to help defray your tuition expenses.
That's fantastic. How much are the scholarships?
The scholarships are $2,500 each. We're working on building an endowment, which is why the Impact Awards is an important fundraiser for us. But what a terrific thing to be able to offer. We have an incredibly talented group of students, and we want them, if they want to study art, if they want to study theater. Last year's theater winner, David Friedman, is at Penn State right now in one of the most prestigious theater programs in the nation.
That's great.
We've had scholarship recipients go to Juilliard. We've had scholarship recipients. Last year's instrumental music winner is currently at the Eastman School of Music, one of the top schools in the nation. And so I think that what we're trying to do is to help these young people and their families, enable them to pursue the arts in higher education, hopefully to come back, and hopefully one day to be the type of artists that we have cultural encounters with in the various different arts fields, or that we honor.
Well, I think that that's an excellent thing, and I hadn't thought about the other areas having many more scholarships available and the arts having fewer, but it's true.
It's a beautiful legacy that Charlie started and that we are very diligently carrying forward.
And other programs?
Well, so the Impact Awards is an interesting program in and of itself because I think it allows us to draw business leaders from both sides of the Bay to learn more about the arts and cultural organizations and people who have supported them, because we highlight the arts and cultural organizations as part of the program, as part of the causes and arts that these business people that we're honoring support. So it's an information and communication vehicle, as well as it's just tons of fun. It's a great networking opportunity. And sometimes the artists that we honor, this year we're honoring Janet Eckelman. I believe that you may have known her.
Since she was a kid. She's a really gifted sculptor.
She is an amazing, amazing artist, and Janet has won a number of art prizes throughout her. She's still very young, but she's had just a spectacular career. She's won the Guggenheim Prize for Art, the Loeb Prize. She was on a Rotary Scholar after graduating from Harvard.
Can I tell you something amazing? She was an amazing kid. When she was in high school, she was a pianist with a soloist with the local orchestra. And she was a journalist up in Tallahassee covering the legislative session. I mean, she's very gifted, but I'm thrilled that she's an accomplished visual artist. She's gotten global recognition, and she's coming back to do your gala. I mean, what a gift.
She's coming back to accept. We're going to be awarding Janet the TBBCA Lifetime Artistic Achievement Impact Award, and that will be next fall at our Impact Awards gala and dinner. And the wonderful thing about Janet is that her story is a fascinating story. She was on a senior Fulbright grant in India, and her paints never arrived. And she's a very, very great painter. In fact, so much so that when she was in Asia earlier in her life, Robert Rauschenberg discovered her, curated a solo show of hers in the United States, and purchased 3 of her paintings for his personal collection. So already then she showed tremendous promise. But there she's in India, and her paints don't make it, and she's on a slim little Fulbright grant. She has to live, she has to travel, and she can't afford to buy new paints and ship them over. So she saw the fishermen weaving their nets, and she thought, Well, this might be an interesting form of developing sculptures. And in fact, that led to these monumental aerial sculptures that she has now had installations in over 36 cities around the world, in Stuttgart, in Vilnius. She just did one in London a few weeks ago as part of Lumiere. She's in Boston over the Rose Kennedy Greenway. Some of them are permanent installations, some are temporary. Most recently, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation could have chosen any artist ever, living or not, to represent their foundation and their mission. And they chose Janet Eckelman.
I did not know that.
And
That's fantastic.
She has a beautiful aerial sculpture that they've commissioned that is on their foundation building outside. And the interesting thing is that during the day, of course, it catches the light. These sculptures are woven from a material that it's very high tech. Janet pioneered the use of this material. It's 15 times stronger than steel by its weight, yet it's very lightweight. You can pack it up into a box and it travels, as it obviously does. And at the same time, it withstands the test of time. So it's very carefully and well engineered and withstands the elements. So it can withstand, strong forces of wind, etc. But that's also what helps it to move and be alive. So you've got this monumental net with lighting. And at the foundation, at the Gates Foundation, what they do is that they project onto it, they light it at night in real time, every time that there's a sunrise at the offices of the foundation around the world.
How fabulous.
So that they're connecting the work of the foundation in all these many offices with the home office, with the foundation in Seattle. And
what an innovative idea.
What
That's
an innovative
fabulous.
idea. And you've hit the nail right on the head, Linda. It's so perceptive of you. Janet is an innovator. It's one of the reasons that we're honoring her together with other business people, because this nexus of art and business, of creativity and innovation, how important is that for businesses?
It is critical. I'm just reading a book by Daniel Pink called A Whole New Mind, and it's saying that America's power at this point is based on our creativity, that other countries are equally skilled in many other ways, but because we nourish and celebrate and have such an open market for creativity, it's really our leg up.
Absolutely, and I applaud you for reading Pink's work. He's a very influential author, and I think that that's, again, to go back to our other programs and the cultural encounters, that's part of what we're trying to foment, is this interaction between businesses and the creative class, because workforce development, innovation, all of that can be very much influenced and inspired and spurred on by the type of creativity and innovation that artists bring.
And what a gift that is to be the official matchmaker for them. I was around when your organization was first created, and I was concerned that the Chamber was not going to take responsibility. But in truth, I think there's a partnership there, and I think that they are recognizing that what the arts bring to our commerce in our area is absolutely critical. And I hope that they encourage you all to interact with their members and become part of the TBBCA.
I think one of the beauties about TBBCA is that we're incredibly collaborative and cooperative. Ours are partnerships, not sponsorships, not memberships.
Right.
And we work very well together with all of the chambers, with the councils, the arts councils. We are completely funded by voluntary private donations.
Wow, that is impressive.
We do not and have never taken a penny of public funds to do all of the good works that we're doing. So it's purely financed by businesses and individuals who contribute to make all of this possible.
Now, I realize the show is coming to an end, but I haven't asked you about you. So please, give us some of your background. You have a very interesting background.
Well, I'm very fortunate and blessed that I grew up in a bilingual household. We left Cuba when I was very young and went to Washington, D.C., where I was raised. My parents are both lawyers. I went to Georgetown and I studied Chinese. And I lived and I lived and worked between New York and China. And actually, it was I.M. Pei's son, the great Chinese-American architect, whom I knew in China. And his son introduced me to my husband, who was
great.
A great architect working for IM. He worked for IM at various different times in his career. And at that time, he was the chief of design for IM for the Louvre. So I left Beijing and moved to Paris. Our son was born there. My husband's work was obviously very exciting at the time of the opening of the Grand Louvre. And we then moved to Paris, from Paris to London for his work. And we've lived all over the world. And one of the things that I love about being here with Jan is that we feel that this community is a community that does value artists, architects, business people, because he's the perfect example of that combination
Yes.
of all of those, right? And I think that we're able here to make a difference, to really have an impact.
Absolutely, and you in this role with the TBBCA are perfect because you are a social person, a connector. You're just a natural connector, and connectors are successful when they have a great idea to work with. And certainly merging business and the arts is a fabulous idea. And what you all, I think, what are the museums that Jan has designed locally?
Jan, as the design architect for the Salvador Dali Museum, the new Dali, which of course is an icon of St. Pete, and really helped to revitalize that area of St. Pete. Also the Hazel Huff wing of the Museum of Fine Arts, a little bit further afield, new wing and 3 new buildings for the Ringling Museum in Sarasota. And he's done a number of other projects as well, and right now he's working on a new museum for Tom and Mary James.
Well, I mean, just in that area of making this area more beautiful and compelling and raising our profile, it's a gift. But what you're doing now is especially important because, as we all know, unfortunately, we don't have infinite resources. And given the resources that we do have, collaboration is by far the way we have to go. We've heard it here with other cultural organizations amongst themselves, but collaborating with the business community and then getting the business people engaged in our arts organizations is really key.
Well, I'm very grateful for this opportunity that my board chair and president, Lorna Taylor, and other board directors have offered me to come in and take the helm of an organization, but they spend a tremendous amount of energy and interest because they're firm believers. And it's very easy to carry the message because this is a group of business people who very fervently believe this message, that arts and culture are key economic drivers and
Absolutely.
essential contributors to our quality of life. So if we want businesses to come, to stay, to thrive, and to have a really productive, creative, innovative workforce that is happy to be here, that wants to stay here, that wants to contribute and enjoy our cultural assets, of which we have so many. You interview so many of them. So what a beautiful mission it is to weave that all together and come up with ways that, again, are accessible in many different points, in different areas, in different places. There's something for everyone. So I encourage your viewers to get to know us, to reach out to us. We always welcome new partnerships, and we always welcome new organizations that would like our support.
Beautiful. Susanna, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching Culture Vultures.